Welcome back. Now that we've had a chance to look at the different types of variables that are available to us in Blueprint, we're going to add another variable to our door trigger. This variable is going to be of type Boolean. So if you remember, our Boolean variable types can hold either true or false, which means that we can use them to ask yes or no questions inside of our project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow us to create a very simple little use of this so we can ask one of these questions. And we're going to do it quite easily by just creating a Boolean variable that I'm going to call is Spanish. With that in mind, I'm going to take my output string variable and I'm going to rename it. So I'm going to change the name here and I'm going to call it English string. And I'm going to create another string variable type string. And this one is going to be my Spanish string. I'm going to make sure all of these variables are exposed. Since our designers are going to be able to see and edit these variables inside of Unreal, we want to be concerned about the order that they're in to make it a little bit easier for our designers to use. So I'm going to take this Spanish string and I'm actually going to drag it up so that it goes above the is Spanish, so that we have this new order of an English string, a Spanish string, and now a Boolean variable for whether or not we want our output to be in English. All right, so I'm going to start over again. So I'm going to delete my node elements for now. And we're going to start over again, and we're going to make it so that when you overlap this object, it might print an output in English, it might print it in Spanish, but that's going to depend on whether or not we set the Boolean is Spanish to true or false. So to make that decision, I'm going to drag off my execute node, and we're going to create a node known as a branch. Now a branch is a flow control node. It allows us to change how the flow of the program is going to go after this node occurs. So right now, we've coming off the execute, and there's an option for true and an option for false. For each of those, I'm going to come off of them and I'm going to print a string either way. However, if this condition is true, right, I'm going to take my Spanish string and let's get that string. And that's what I'm going to output. If it's false, I'm going to take my English string, I'm going to get my English string, and that's what we're going to output. So now we have functionality that when I overlap my trigger, it's either going to print the Spanish string or the English string. And right now, because of this is set up without a variable input, it's just going to be whether or not I've clicked this checkbox. If I've checked it, it's true. If I uncheck it, it's false. Well, we want that to happen based on a variable inside of Unreal. So I'm going to bring this over and I'm going to get the value for the is Spanish variable. So now we have a very, very simple blueprint that allows us to see how the branch node works. When we overlap, when the overlap event fires, it's going to branch and make a decision. If is Spanish is true, it's going to print the string that's inside of Spanish string. If is Spanish is false, it's going to print the string inside of English string. Let's go back to Unreal after we save. Let's save, compile, and go back to Unreal and enter that data. All right, so with my door trigger selected, I can see that in my default, here are the variables I created. English string, right? I'm going to have my English string say, welcome. My Spanish string, bienvenidos. With that in mind and with that selected, my object now has this option of either saying welcome or bienvenidos. And it's going to make that decision whether or not I clicked the is Spanish checkbox here. With it unchecked, it's false, so it should say our English string. Let's give it a try and see if that works. So if I run into that, sure enough, it says welcome. Welcome. If I were to check the checkbox, now when I run, that branch is going to come out and it's going to say bienvenidos, right? So we're going to be able to now allow our blueprints to make decisions based on variables that we pass in. This will allow us to create one blueprint that can do lots of different things depending on what data we pass into that blueprint. It makes our blueprints more reusable, more powerful, and reduces the amount of work we need to do in order to build our levels. In our next video, we're going to actually move away from these kind of just basic samples, and we're going to use a timeline, which is a special node that allows us to do things over time, and we're going to use that to allow our door to actually open and close based on our interaction with the trigger.